Because our mission is to give you the hope that you need. Bill, you are twice the man, or 100 times the man that you were before you had a stroke. Because dear God, we come before you feeling the blessings that you give us every day. We feel, Father, all of the wonderful times when we don't have the hope that we need, that you are near us. We're thankful.
Te pedimos nuestra bendición sobre nuestros alimentos esta noche, para que nos puedan fortalecer nuestra fe, nuestra esperanza y nuestra caridad. Te amamos y te damos todo con nuestro ser. Te lo pedimos en nuestro Señor Jesucristo, en el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo. Amén.
My name is Allie, and my father is a stroke survivor. 8 years ago, when he first had a stroke, our family felt lost. My mom went to the hospital to ask if there was a stroke support group we could join. Unfortunately, she was told that there was no group, but she could start one. That's exactly what she and my father did. It took a few years to come together as a family and learn from our journey. For almost 3 years now, they've been working to create a network of survivors and caregivers, therapists and doctors, trainers and friends, so that individuals and families who are affected by the tremendous impact of stroke will never have to feel lost again. When someone has a stroke, it's very easy to lose hope. The family has a choice to make. Do we fall apart or rise above? Here to tell about how her family rose above is Jimena Vidales.
4 months ago, I once again lived what I consider the toughest part of my life: goodbyes. Visiting my grandparents twice a year in Mexico is something I look forward to most of all. Ever since I was a little girl, I loved walking into my grandmother Tete's dining room to find her sitting at the end of the table. I would run in to hug her hello, and the next second I was sitting at her piano playing what I considered the best music. It wasn't the best, but she never told me to stop. She gave me the opportunity to discover a possible hidden talent. She made me feel like I was playing a symphony, the best one she had ever attended. I am sure she would have clapped if she could, but she couldn't. When my grandmother was in her early 40s, she suffered a stroke. It temporarily took her memory, but forever took her ability to move, leaving the left side of her body paralyzed, confining her to a wheelchair. Even though the stroke limited her physically, it wasn't enough to limit her spirit, or how we say in Spanish, ánimo. In 2003, Tete even accompanied us to Disneyland and enjoyed some of the rides. I remember one in particular, that a special pink photo ride. The staff helped lower her wheelchair onto the platform. Eyes glistening, smile widening, she enjoyed It's a Small World, a famous Disney attraction. My grandmother Tete never let her disability take control of her, unlike me, who lost control whenever I had to say goodbye. 8 years ago, on February 4th, 2006, my father called me into his room and said, Tete didn't wake up this morning. My heart dropped. I dreaded the idea that our last goodbye had been our final one. But my heart returned to normal as my father continued. She experienced a second stroke, much more severe. He explained that my grandmother, on the brink of death, was transported to a hospital. Meanwhile, I was 704 miles away, the lengthiest distance I would ever feel between my grandmother and me. Unable to comprehend the situation, I threw random clothes in my suitcase, while my mind formed a bunch of unanswered questions. Would I see her again? Would I hear her voice again? Would I get the chance to say goodbye? The phone ringing interrupted these thoughts. I never dared answer. The possibility of hearing that death had arrived immobilized me, keeping me from my final farewell to my beloved grandmother. This time, the flight that usually felt so quick seemed eternal. Once I arrived in Mexico, doctors kept me from seeing my grandmother face to face. I was a little girl, allowed to see her by tiptoeing and peeking through the small glass window of her hospital room door. My grandmother Tete lay peacefully sleeping, but something inside me didn't feel at peace. It wasn't a proper goodbye. Weeks later, she returned home, but she was never the same. Years later, I realized my grandmother's deep sleep had been a comatose state. For the past 8 years, she has been in the same condition, no longer eating, no longer talking, no longer moving, only opening her eyes and turning to see whoever stands by her side. I value my grandmother during the time I was able to have a conversation with her. Although I don't exchange words with Tete anymore, I recently discovered new connections with my grandmother that help me value her even more. The school hallways I walk every day are the same halls that they walked 70 years ago. Not only do I walk the same halls, but I have chosen to follow her footsteps walking through life with perseverance and ánimo the way she did. This summer, my cousin Marina approached me with a picture of her grandfather and my grandmother when they were children and said, "Jimena, you look exactly like your grandmother Tete." Not only do I physically resemble Tete, but she has taught me to look at life in the same way she has, not letting a limitation keep her from moving forward. I now realize that if I had to say my last goodbye to my grandmother, it would not mean the end, but a beginning full of infinite possibilities with hope for a better day, no matter the circumstance. Tonight's event makes me so hopeful that all stroke victims will have the same support my family was able to provide for my dad's mother, my grandmother did.
Thank you, Jimena. It's beautiful. For those of you who don't know, my name is Dee Dee, and my husband is a stroke survivor. We have been blessed to have a great team working with us. Can all of our board members please stand and be recognized? The theme for tonight's event is hope. And our hope is that when you leave here tonight, you will know more about the signs of stroke and its aftermath. I encourage you to sometime during the evening, introduce yourself to a stroke survivor, they're the ones with the little name tag, and get to know them a little. Tonight is about them. After a stroke, some survivors go a long time without being able to talk. Here to show off the progress that he has made through speech therapy is my husband,
Connect, learn, and recover. Good evening. Buenas noches. In the Radio Stroke Support Group, we have to help each other find the strength from within. Our goal is to take the stroke victim and turn him into a stroke survivor. Our members have come together to seek support from the local providers like Rupi Cow, Providence, Laredo Medical Center, Mercy Kids, UT Health Science Center, and now, Austin Speech Lab in Laredo. Stroke does not discriminate. It can strike anyone, anytime, anywhere, with 795,000 stroke cases per year in the U.S. Chances are you know someone that has suffered a stroke. A loved one, a friend, a brother, a neighbor, or your local favorite celebrity. Worldwide, it is estimated that 6 people die from a stroke every 60 seconds. There are controllable and uncontrollable risk factors in stroke. Controllable factors include high blood pressure, diabetes, smoking, high cholesterol, and AFib, just to name a few. Family genes is the example. I have a uncontrollable factors. My brother, Eddie, sitting over right there, and I both had a stroke within a year and a half of each other. Different strokes for different folks. I had a massive stroke. Some survivors are luckier than I, and some are not so lucky. The four most common side effects are hemiparesis, spasticity, and aphasia and depression. Hemiparesis is the weakness of the entire left or right side of the body. Spasticity is the brain versus the spinal cord. The muscles become stiff or rigid. They also involve unusual tightness or increased muscle tone. My toes are curling down now. I had aphasia, and still, to a lesser degree, I have aphasia. Aphasia is when you're having trouble getting the words to come out. I know what I want to say, but my brain holds my words hostage from time to time. I can curse the word aphasia. Depression is when dark clouds float into your mind. Often survivors will just say, "I'm fine," which usually means falling, insecure, not good enough, empty. Help is out there. Your family and your friends, your priests or doctors, priests or ministers, and your medical community. Dr. Sanchez has been my neurologist for about 17 years. Say hi to me. Say hi to the audience. He said that 10 years ago, it was believed that the brain cells could not be reproduced. Dr. Sanchez now says brains, no. Dr. Sanchez says now, new studies have shown that our brain continually makes new brain cells, which is exciting. The various aspects of the recovery processes, like therapies, doctor's visits, equipment, medication, insurance runs out quickly if you've got it. It takes time, work, and mucho dinero. We were told by Dr. Ricardo Cigarroa, a local cardiologist, that when it's a common practice for the doctors to prepare the family for the downward spiral after a massive stroke. Basically, to prepare for death. Here, at the Laredo Stroke Support Group, we think it's like a movie, it's like a little bit of movie, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. The old man says, I'm not quite dead yet. Dr. Cigarroa says if the stroke survivors will be willing to fight to recover, then they should have the medical field, they should have the medical team in their, his or her corner. A healthy brain, perfectly full, and my brain, practically empty. Eventually, my brain will bounce back through my right hemisphere eventually. The part that looks like it's missing, over there, over there, over there, is actually inactive. I'm still an athlete, a coach, a father, doing business, but I'm in a stroke survivor too. So all the stroke survivors, please stand up or raise your hand. Samuel Nicon, can you please stand up? It has been 23 years since Mr. Nicon had his stroke. You are one with great courage and strength. Give a round for Mr. Nicon. No one can take you to, no one can take you to my goals except me. No one can take you to your goals except you. It takes perseverance, courage, and patience, but it can be done. Guarantees? There are none. If they take stroke survivors 5 or 10 years or more, but we have to give our best shot. My brother Eddie said that Isaac Newton came up with the idea of the limit in calculus. With the limit, we're getting a half of a half of a half of a half of a half over time. Compare this with the stroke but your movement becomes progressively smaller to the point where you can barely tell if you are in fact improving. So, if you don't give up, you will likely to improve, but in much smaller increments. Hang in there, stroke survivors. It takes patience. Recovery is a full-time job. Slow and steady, don't overdo it. My wife reminds me this all the time. Together, we're implementing a healthier lifestyle. If I'm going to do this stuff, say goodbye to Dr. Becker. Alfredo, my mother. Peeps and Lucky Charms. Say hello to the brain foods like fruits and vegetables, water, almond milk, cheese and fish. There are ways to prevent or spot a stroke. First and foremost, get screened. There are numerous providers of this service. Secondly, know the signs of stroke. Known as facts. Drooping face, weakness in the arm, difficulty speaking, which I'm going to. Time to call 911. We could say goodbye. At our monthly meetings, the Behavioral Stroke Support Group talks about these and other things, other ways that you can lower your family's risk of stroke. You can keep up with us by visiting our website or like us on Facebook. Your continued support makes it a world of difference. Please. Please. Remember this face as you browse the oxygen items tonight. Thank you.
My name is Jordan Garza. My father is Joe Garza. He is a veteran and he's also a stroke survivor. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched
Geraldine. That is how you command a room. Wish I could do that. Woo! Thank you so much for supporting us tonight in our efforts. We hope you enjoy the meal. We have lots of great things to come in the evening. There is a silent auction in the other room. The live auction will happen in just a few minutes. At this table right here, we have representatives from Austin Speech Labs. They provide speech therapy through Skype for some of our members. And as we've said before in the evening, if you'd like to make a direct impact, you'll see our helpers walking around with the blinking rings. They cost $100 and they go directly towards speech therapy for stroke survivors. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Have a great evening.